every day there is a plot twist to the drama that is happening in the SADC region, the nation of Namibia. We are seeing Priscilla Chigumba showing up in the nation of Namibia. What is her role in the Namibian election? Then we see her being heckled. What happened leading to Priscilla Chigumba being heckled in the nation of Namibia? And then what would happen after that?
Eswatini, Lesotho, Malawi, South Africa, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. The mission also included 2 members from the ECOWAS network of electoral commissions, ECONEC, representing...
Yeah, that is the voice of Priscilla Chigumba speaking at the release of the preliminary statement by the International Electoral Observer Missions in the nation of Namibia. This Election Observer preliminary statement has raised controversy on social media. The controversy is that it is released while people are still voting in the nation of Namibia. Anyway, what is in this statement? So even when we go over to the SADC official website, we see this statement in PDF format being shown here, shown there. So we're just gonna go through it, over it, to find out the details, its contents. So we're just gonna be jumping, and brief. I'm just gonna put it on the screen there. Enough respect to everybody who's watching us live right about now. To those watching us live, you can write a comment in the top chat or in the super chat. That's how I can see and I can give you a shout out in the month of December, the year 2024. This is the last month of the year, as we are about to close this year, the year 2024. And Africa is ending this year in drama. Now, before we read this one here, we're just going to check out where it is alleged that it is Priscilla Chigumba who is being heckled. Is she being heckled over this preliminary report by the Election Observer Mission or other stories? Here we see this Namibia opposition leader says party will not recognize vote. Why would this be? They are saying the election is marred by chaos and allegations of foul play. Now imagine this guy saying we will not realize the vote. What if they announce that he won the election? What would happen then? Okay, I'm just not joking. Anyways. So this is posted by the Namibian. Besides that, it is highly likely to be Priscilla Chigumba in the car. The environment of Namibia is different from the environment of South Africa or the environment of Zimbabwe. I think in Namibia, she can be driving around like that or be driven like that in just one car. That is very, very possible there. But however, we are seeing a group of people there protesting and speaking out. Okay, we're hearing people, is it there? As they are protesting. Right. And the lady we are hearing in the background, the audio wouldn't come well, or maybe the camera wouldn't pick that megaphone. All right. That will be a car said to be belonging to Priscilla Chigumba there. Now, scenes like this become very disturbing.
So relaxed, so unprofessional, and so arrogant, and so ineffective. It's because of this kind of reports that you come here and submit and read to us and read to them. That's why they make the same mistakes that they made 5 years ago by your own admission. Because you can't tell us they are very professional. How do we then improve if they are already glorified? It's your mistakes. You must not come here and glorify an institution that has failed to manage a group of 200 soldiers. 200 soldiers could not be.
So here he's talking of the preliminary report. So we're gonna go inside to find out what is in there.
And a few days later, 27th of November comes, and what do? You still call the profession. You still call the profession after you've seen what happened in that mini election. You still call the profession effective and glorify them. How then? This is why we are where Africa is today. That's why we don't know. Because the institutions that comes here, observe, they are...
All right, he is speaking on the where Africa is, Africa growth. That is a very serious subject that we should reflect on as Africans ourselves. And I think as individuals, we need to take the initiatives upon our own selves. That you as an individual, if you develop yourself as an African, you have developed Africa. So we have some of our own great Africans who are doing us proud, like Strive Masiwa, who we see being listed as one of the 10 richest black people in the world, and he is an African billionaire. So that is where we are as Africans. We are now making billionaires. We are now making billionaires. We are now making big money, big business, big entrepreneurs. As an African, you should refuse to conform to a bandwagon. You should refuse to conform to a hopeless bandwagon. Pursue your paths.
Are afraid to tell the truth to power. You are afraid to do that. Why? Because some of you depend on these allowances. You are coming here to get allowances. Make sure that 5 years later, you come here, and end them again. You are not here to help Namibians. You are not here to help us having free and fair elections. Get yourself right. Don't cultivate this African mafia, brotherhood, sisterhood of yours here. Yes.
That is very true. So one problem that would be happening here, he's talking about don't cultivate this African brotherhood, sisterhood mafia here, right? Just acknowledging the guys there. By that, they would have acknowledged it, right? The guys are non-existent, and their existence holds no impact. What can SADC do? One shouldn't be convinced that they are a force. They are not a force. And by just acknowledging that they are a force, in that alone, they become a force. Now imagine when the so-called international community is watching. We're talking of America and Britain and all those other guys who are more civilized and with better education systems and better health care systems than ours, with better self-identity and self-pride than us, with better self-confidence than us. Of course, we look to the West, right? Those guys, when they see us in these states that we are in, we can't even run an election. Imagine a population of 3 million people and the ballot papers would short, right? And these ballot papers, Zimbabwe is a nation of 15 million. The ballot papers for Namibia will be more expensive than those of Zimbabwe, right? And there is a shortage of ballot papers there, right? So that alone, that would be before these guys would be seen in Namibia. Maybe they were going underground. Okay, let's set the groundwork first, right? Now let's go over to the reporter and read it as it is. What is it about, and what would why do they release it? Okay, remember, these guys, they should do what the people want, right? They should do what the people want. Like these other guys should ask people, what do you want us to tell you, right? And then they work from there. So we see this one, preliminary statement. The head of SADC Electoral Observer Mission. Now these guys are saying preliminary. Is it football? What does the word preliminary mean? Preliminary statement. Is it a statement before a football match? Preliminary match, preliminary round. What does it mean? Pre, before, prior. Preliminary statement, a statement before. Okay, do these guys release a statement before an election? It may be so. So this may not be an actual election report. An actual election report. Let's dig inside and find out. Because imagine if this is what they do before an election. These guys release a report, and people who are supposed to be representing people as leaders are complaining about it, and it will be just as it is. I hope these guys have released an election report that is supposed to be released after an election. I hope it's not the one that is released before, if it exists, because that will be humiliating also. So the statement is made by the head of SADC Electoral Observation Mission. The 2024 Presidential and National Assembly elections of the Republic of Namibia, the Honorable Ain Sema Kamba Makinde, former Speaker of the National Assembly of the United Republic of Tanzania, Windhoek, Namibia. What is in there? Big up to everybody who's watching us live. Okay, this is showing on the screen. They're just confirming there to see if it's showing on the screen. I'm just going to go through it. Your Excellency, Dr. Sposisa Naingara Wandranika Ziswe, former president, okay? The distinguished, okay, the opening leaders, distinguished guest, EDC introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the South African Development Community, and as mandated by His Excellency Samia Suluhu, President. So this would be a speech. All right, so it is a preliminary statement, right? So it's a statement that is put in written format and then in PDF. As head of mission, I am supported by my representatives from the Republic of Malawi and Zambia and of the United Republic of Tanzania, who are members of the SADC organ tracker. Then we scroll down to see summary key findings. The SADC election observer mission observed the following. The political security environment. The mission observed that the country was calm and peaceful during the pre-election and election day. Political campaigns were conducted peacefully. The mission noted submissions from stakeholders that the country was experiencing active involvement of the youths in politics. Electoral legal framework. The Presidential and the National Assembly elections are mainly governed by the Constitution of the Republic of Namibia and the Electoral Act 5 of 2004 Electoral Act. The mission noted that according to Article 28(2) of the Constitution, President is elected by direct, universal and equal suffrage and obtaining more than 50% of the valid cost. Now, suffrage is the right to vote. It has nothing to do with suffrage, right? In more than 50%, I just had to explain that word. Okay. I liked a laid-back and sarcastic approach. The president is elected in the second ballot between the two candidates who have obtained the highest votes in a previous ballot. Okay. Then they would quote the law. So we see these guys work with the law of the respective country they be in. So SADC being there, the election observer, they are there to observe and to make recommendations. They don't hold any power to change any decision or what, right? Management of the electoral process. The mission observed that the elections are managed by the Electoral Commission of Namibia, which according to the law is the exclusive body that directs, supervises, manages and controls elections and referenda. Then voter registration. The mission noted that the final voters register indicated 1,449,569 registered voters, representing approximately 90% of 1,615,910 eligible voters from the 2023 census. Civic and voter education. The mission observed extensive civic and voter education by the EC and stakeholders, shared several initiatives and to inform citizens about the electoral processes. However, some reports indicated that some remote areas may not have received adequate coverage. Then preparedness of the ECD, and during the pre-election period, the mission noted that the stakeholders had confidence in how the elections had been organized and conducted. Then I'm just going to skip. The mission noted last-minute threat to temporary polling staff. The mission noted the last-minute threat of temporary polling staff to withdraw their services due to their demand of higher remuneration. Of course, people should get higher remuneration. The mission also noted that operation matters such as contracting the temporary staff could have been done earlier to give enough room for negotiations. Nevertheless, the mission appreciated that the ECN came to an agreement with the aggrieved temporary staff. So that is also another disturbing thing. How would have this temporary staff been hired to threaten to pull out of the election again? That is so African. The mission noted that the voting on 27 November 2024 was characterized by operation lapses such as shortage of ballot papers at polling stations, heating of tablets, running out of batteries for the 4. Okay, you can't run a tablet for 24 hours. You can only maybe 1 or 2 hours. Okay. Ultraviolet light torches and mobile polling stations. So if you run it on charger, it's going to be heating. Okay. Gender representation, media, electoral law, observations on election day. Opening procedures were observed in 16 polling stations. Right there. So they observed 16 polling stations. Polling procedures were observed in 221 polling stations. We don't have the number of which ones are the total. Best practice, recommended improvements in the electoral process. Now, this is where we need to be seeing what did these guys say. So, one thing we must know for sure, one thing that is, whether we are aware of it, we are conscious of it, we can comprehend it. SADC, in reality, in practice, in whatever possible sense what SADC is. Southern African Development Community. Community. What does the word community mean? Community. I'm just going to search community according to Google Dictionary. Community definition, right? So these days we're no longer using Oxford or Cambridge. Just Google, right? A community is a group, a section, a body, a company, or a set, or a circle, or a clique, or a coterie, a ring, a band, a faction, a gang, or a bunch. So SADC is a bunch of African nation. SADC is a gang of African nation. SADC is a body, is a clique, it's a set, it's a grouping of African nation. SADC is only just a brotherhood. It is up to the brotherhood itself to achieve more. But in whatever sense, SADC is a brotherhood. And whatever happens in SADC depends on harmony. It depends on agreeing, not disagreeing. It's all about, why would you be part of a brotherhood that you don't agree with? So SADC, yes, it is a brotherhood. By definition, by whatever sense, that is what it is. People can then decide to have agreements, right? And they may sign agreements and cities as leaders who swore an oath. Just because they are leaders, they cannot sign an agreement which me, as a person who is part of a social contract which I have not signed, they cannot sign something that affects me again at law. It will be illegal. So, this can only be a brotherhood for beneficiary purposes, kulinkana, nekupanana information in Africa. That is what SADC is. SADC can never resolve election disputes, right? And of course, these guys have to be seen. The first time we see SADC being involved in election observation is almost manje even kwa kudala, even though it's been at some time, right? It's almost now. It's a front to keep away other observer missions. SADC is not in the thing of doing election observation. The history of SADC, what was it about? A brotherhood for progress. So let us not give these guys power. Okay, they're just doing that for recommendations, right? They're not really election observers. They're just observing elections, right? And any election observer, there is no election observer. But any other country with a vast interest like America, which deals with any other country, with many countries, they watch other countries to decide who can we be working with. These guys, we can't work with them. These guys, we can't trust them. These guys are looters, we can't trust them. That is what it is about, right? So, as Africans, we need to discover ourselves, who we are, what do we have to offer on the table. We shouldn't be entitled. And thinking we are being entitled, we are actually placing our destinies in the hands of people who are not even concerned. People who are just making money and making money. They are there to make money. They are not there to observe. They are making money by observing the elections. That is what they are doing there. So it's up to the individual to have a revolution of the mindset. And we need to stop wasting our time. What happens next in these nations? This is a time we should reflect and pray for peace in Africa. Pray for integrity in our people, for diligence in our people. This is one thing that we share that is common between Zambia, Namibia, Botswana, and Zimbabwe. A quadripoint where 4 nations meet. This is the only quadripoint that exists in this entire universe, or at least on this planet Earth. A quadripoint. Other nations have tripoints. Here we see 4 countries meeting in one position. So there is a lot of great things on this one here, but we're going to talk about it in another video. It's a whole another subject. I don't want to be going deep because no stuff is not serious stuff, but sometimes people can mix up things that are not related but may be relating. Like kufananiza gudo ne munu chese tiri mama mouse but gudo arisi munu, right? Of course tukwaza ngopa example yokuti mumwe munhu arutange gudo, right? But we don't relate. At the same time we can relate. That is the sense that I'm speaking on. So we're seeing this reporter coming, then we see buses in the nation of Namibia, and they're narrated saying these guys have come from Angola. Now these guys, are they repeating a Mozambique kupusa zokusvika pa level rekuita bus people from Angola vanobatwa zvakapusa kudaro? As Africans, we should be a people who have integrity. Integrity, honor. Integrity and honor. Integrity is that which makes a person a person. That character we call character is what we need in our people. And with that, goodness will reign, and we will trample evil, Lucifer, the devil, the diverter, the accuser of brethren, the liar, the Goliath, the redundant Goliath, who can't even put a shield on himself, is just a giant who can't move. Goliath can't even swing a sword. I can't be saying, I can't be giving some examples, right? But basically Goliath was a retarded person. That's why he had to be handed over his almost armor. Somebody had to climb on Goliath to give him his armor. It's just a big nothing. Then King David comes and fires a projectile into his head. They call it a slingshot, but it was just a foot, right? Remember the foot is my air management spring etc. The manje. What was the length of the rope? How many turns? What wave? What was the shape of the projectile? One gunshot from Sorba Goliath. When we reach that stage, we can join legends like Ananas Strive Masiwa in making Africa proud. That is where we are. Strive Masiwa is there, we are there. Enough respect to Strive Masiwa. With that, I sign out.